my foodie fear is...
Broccoli! No. Oh, you don't mean that.
Yeah. I just take a stand against broccoli. I just go very politely, I'm sorry, I don't let that pass my lips. It's only a side vegetable,
Yeah.
People are going to be fine. I have this constant fear when I get an invitation to somebody's house for dinner here in Britain, that I'm going to walk in and they're going to be serving fish pie. Because I can't.
And it's a main.
Because it's the main. It's the main. And I just can't. I can scrape off the little bits, the mashed potato off the top. And maybe if there's a couple of prawns in there.
You see, I just ask. Is there anything you really don't like?
I think most people do these days.
Yes, I think people do. And I personally believe that fish of any kind should be the kind of thing that if you're planning to cook fish for a dinner party, that you ask first.
People have stronger views about fish than they do.
Well, I wouldn't necessarily do that, but I would certainly get the first question I'll always ask.
I don't think in Britain people necessarily would, because fish pie, for example, is a thing.
Yeah, I guess.
So, but yeah, I have this fear, because I would have to be like, I'm very, very, very sorry, but
yeah, just can't.
Particularly if this does contain smoked haddock, it's not going to happen.
Well, I would hope that anybody these days would just ask the question, is there anything you guys don't like, or is there anything...
Sure.
And if you get a laundry list of pseudo-intolerance...
And there are those people.
Then yeah. I'll find
but I'm not inviting those people over.
I'm going to find a reason I fall ill 2 days before it and cancel. But, that one, I asked you first time you were coming up, is there anything you don't like? And fish pie? Okay.
Yeah, fish pie.
Fish pie is the only thing. Everything else I can face down.
I don't have any real fears. And it would never happen, thankfully. So I don't really fear it that much. Is the terror that somebody might offer me andouillette.
Yeah, nobody's going to do that.
Which is spectacularly revolting.
Make a note. Patrick's like, I'm making a note. Andouillette.
How to cook it? 101 great recipes for andouillette.
I can almost guarantee you would not want to cook
pages.
it.
Because you wouldn't even be able to cook it. It's ripe tripe in a sausage skin. It was marketed at the restaurant I was in. It just said, I'd never heard of it, and it just said local sausage. So it's andouillette and frite. And it is the one time in my life that I've not even been able to take a mouthful. I cut it open, and couldn't do it.
Right.
And normally, I have and will eat pretty much anything.
Yeah.
I couldn't get near that.
I don't know if I have any. I mean, there are things I haven't been faced with that are sort of the fear of the unknown.
Yeah.
But, no one has actually served me brain. I don't know how I would respond. I guess it would depend on how it looked and how it was prepared. I really don't know anything about the options there. Even if it's something I don't necessarily like, or even if it's something I actually detest, I can get it down.
See, there are very few things that I detest.
Yeah.
But when I do detest it,
yeah,
I can't get it down.
I have been presented with situations where there really is no choice. I'm traveling with my mother. We're at some very important person's house.
Yeah.
And that's, and okay, and most of the time I comfort myself with the fact that my mother knows what those things for me are, knows what I'm doing on her behalf.
Right.
And I'll get something out of it.
Taking one for the team.
Yeah, I'm taking one for the team, and she knows. But I don't think there's anything, the only things I haven't, and they're not really fears, it's just, I don't know how I'd react to certain dishes, mostly because I've just never been presented with them. And if you present me with brain...
Well, it's supposed to be
Let her know afterwards.
Yeah, tell me afterwards.
It's supposed to be peppery and quite tasty.
But why would it be peppery? That's so weird.
Well, apparently. But most of them are just very good anyway.
I mean, so, I had, in a survival situation, I don't think I'd have that many compunctions about eating... in the alive sort of situation, I'd be like, all right, we gotta do it.
If my choice is this...
Let's start with the people we don't know.
Yeah. I don't like it very much.
Yeah, I mean, if it comes living or not, it's like I said. It's like I said earlier. Look, if it comes down to me or somebody else, sure. In theory, I'd like to think that I'd put mankind first, but I won't. If it's me or you, it's me.
There I am, knife and fork.
There you are.
Yeah.
So let's just make sure that if we're on a plane somewhere, we're not flying into the Andes, okay?
Yeah, or that we're with a far more
profitable airline. What about the thing you're afraid of making? I mean, everybody's got something that...
Yeah, I mean, I know
I'm afraid of making.
That you sort of have shied away from. You may or may not have done them, but you shy away from them because you find them you find them difficult, or you perceive them to be overly difficult.
For some reason
people are afraid of risotto.
And that one I can kind of understand why. Cause I was the first time I tried it, I was a little bit like, oh, okay, But then I read about it, and
well, I guess I just stir.
And then I was like, what? Actually, nothing about this is actually difficult. There's nothing difficult.
What is it? Soufflés. Famously, people go, oh, you can't do this, and don't open the thing. I'm not going to make a soufflé because what if it falls?
I live for the day that I have I live with an oven that's reliable enough that I could attempt a soufflé. I'm not a huge fan of soufflés.
But it is one of those things that people are famously
afraid of
making.
Because the failure rate is so high. It's like on MasterChef where the chocolate fondant. I mean, I would like to master the chocolate fondant because this is apparently the dessert of doom. where because it's got to have that cakey outside and runny middle, but that's not raw, and that okay.
Well, yeah, I'm not big on those on the complex desserts for that reason.
Yeah.
I shied away from making meringues for a long time.
I don't understand why people are afraid of meringues.
Well, I didn't until I didn't. I thought they were difficult until I tried them.
Yeah, and it's
actually,
have whisk will travel.
Mayonnaise was the same. I shied away from that for years. I only started making it more regularly this year.
The thing that would worry me about mayonnaise is not whether or not I would do it right. It's all the variables. It's all the, is it too hot today? Is was your egg yolk just not fresh enough?
Yeah.
The things that would be annoying more than anything else, I think that. With meringue, I first made a meringue. It was for lemon meringue pie. My mother was making lemon meringue pie for Thanksgiving, and as I arrived at hers, making it the day before, and I was bringing over stuff, and she was like, I just couldn't get the egg whites to go, and I just remembered seeing on some TV show or reading in a book somewhere that your bowl has to be completely protein fat free. So I just grabbed a half a lemon, rubbed it around the inside of the bowl and had at it, and boom, I had egg whites. We stuck it in the oven on pipe, boom, we had meringue.
Yeah, I was never really worried. I think it's because when I was much younger and Mom was involved in art when we were younger, a lot of the fundraisers, they had bake sales.
Yeah.
So whoever was, my mom would, for those things, she'd make, 50 of this cookie and 50 of this bar, and one of the things that she always made were these chocolate chip meringue cookies. So I have memories of just big bowls of meringue being whipped up, and then sort of dolloped and whatever. And when she was doing as many as she'd be working on this, and she'd be like, okay, here's a bowl, here's a whisk, do this. So it was it was just sort of a matter of fact thing.
Because you're
not having much of a sweet tooth, so I didn't make them very often.
Yeah. Well, you're not a dessert person.
No, I don't have a sweet tooth. There's nothing really that phases me.
Which is why when I bake something, I'm having to eat all of it myself.
Which is why we have the very small cake tins.
Yes.
I do have some, but I don't tend to have... I'll have a slice of cake. It's not something that I'll go back to very often.
And I'll try to give him a big slice of cake, because I'm going to eat the rest of the cake.
So we make smaller cakes.
So I have little loaves.
Oh, cool.
So I can make mini loaves of pound cake, which are literally this big.
Then you've worked out how to sort of take your ingredient ratios down.
Yeah. Well, actually,
2 tablespoons of flour, 1 tablespoon.
Because pound cake, pound cake, or Madeira cake, whatever.
It's a simple ratio.
It's a very simple ratio, and it freezes beautifully. And you slice it when it's frozen, stick it in the toaster.
Because you have to make you have to make a certain number of them. It's a good thing that it freezes, because Deborah's recipe, I think, is built around the number of eggs.
Right.
Yeah, it's by weight.
Yeah, so...
You weigh 4 eggs and everything else is to that weight.
So that's the volume that you're doing. So you
end up 3 eggs.
X amount.
Whatever your egg weighs, that's what you do.
Even 1 egg, once you've added everything else, is going to be more than one of these little tins, so you end up with 2 or 3 little cakes.
Yeah, and then so I keep one out and I throw the rest of them in the freezer. And then, like everything else in the freezer, I forget about it.
Yeah.
Months later, I find it and go,
this is why, see, I am not a big... Do you buy a lot of stuff to freeze and then cook later?
Yes.
Okay, that I never
And
do.
I know that there are ways to avoid having forgot. I know that if I had a whiteboard and it was on the side of the freezer out there, or it was hanging there, and we would write, that would be easier. Maybe, and maybe I would even keep it updated.